Did I say 10 minutes? I meant 10 seconds.
In DC's brand known as Elseworlds, they tell stories that explore tiny changes to history that have huge effects on iconic superheroes like Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. Their latest animated film, Superman Red Son, for example, asks, what would happen if Kal-El's space pod crash-landed somewhere other than Smallville? In the alternate DC universe of Red Son, Kal-El's pod landed not in Kansas, but on a Ukrainian collective farm in 1938. Instead of embodying truth, justice, and the American way, Superman becomes the most powerful symbol of the Soviet Union, one that completely alters the course of 20th century history. In this world, Lex Luthor is the US government's last best hope of stopping the spread of communism, Wonder Woman is a Themyscirian ambassador enamored with the Man of Steel's vision of a better world, and Batman is a terrorist hell-bent on tearing down everything Superman has built. The original comic by writer Mark Millar and artist Dave Johnson is an inspired choice of source material. For one thing, the comic is just the right scope and length for the rigid 70-ish minute format of these films. Poor pacing is one of the most common problems with these projects, with many either stretching limited material past the breaking point or trying to distill too much plot into one film. Red Son is able to offer a tightly paced story that manages to lend a fair amount of depth to most major characters in between the major action sequences. The concept is certainly fascinating, shining a light on just what aspects of Superman's character are immutable versus those that are shaped by his upbringing. Like most DC animated movies, Red Son skews in a darker direction, even to the point of depicting Superman and Batman as killers. It's a risky storytelling choice that winds up working in this particular context. Where something like Injustice: Gods Among Us never fully succeeds in justifying a murder-happy Superman, Red Son uses that plot point to its advantage. Superman's entire arc in the film is built around the question of whether the ends justify the means. Part of the novelty of Red Son is that it's a superhero movie where the conflict doesn't involve clearly defined factions of good and evil.
What do you want? To break and utterly humiliate the great Superman.
Superman may be the main protagonist, but he's not necessarily the hero of the story. Similarly, it would be reductive to label Lex Luthor as the villain. While Lex shows all of his usual arrogance and casual disregard for those he deems lessers, he's also painted as a man trying to save his country from an existential threat. This is one of the more enjoyable takes on Lex in a DC movie in quite some time. Red Son is largely a very faithful retelling of the original story, following a very similar structure and merely streamlining certain elements here and there. Occasionally, it even manages to improve upon the comic, especially when it comes to Wonder Woman's characterization. Unfortunately, Red Son's most significant deviation is also its greatest misstep. The ending falls completely flat. It's abrupt and simplistic to a fault, losing sight of the nuanced themes driving the conflict up to that point. It's all the more frustrating given that the comic shines best at the very end, as Miller and Johnson celebrate the enduring power of Superman. But whether or not you've actually read the comic, the movie's ending is a disappointingly safe way to end an otherwise daring take on the Superman mythos. Visually, Red Son sticks to the same house style as the vast majority of these animated movies. It gets the job done, yes, but Red Son hardly stands out in that regard, much less replicates the bold style of Johnson's artwork. Given the period setting, it's a shame the movie couldn't have opted for a look more inspired by the classic Fleischer Studios animated serials. As it is, in most scenes, Red Son barely looks like a movie set in the past. Superman Red Son is one of the stronger additions to DC's animated movie library in recent years. The source material is well suited for this particular format, and it offers a rare opportunity to explore a morally conflicted version of the Man of Steel and a less villainous version of Lex Luthor. It's unfortunate that the seriously underwhelming ending and bland animation style sucked the wind out of the movie's sails because Red Son had the potential to be one of DC's best. As it is, it's still well worth watching for Superman fans who want to see a different side of the character and experience a unique vision in the DC universe. For more movie reviews, check out what we thought of Sonic the Hedgehog and Onward. And as always, be sure to follow and subscribe wherever you like to watch IGN.